Revolutionary greetings, comrades. We are discussing, as per request by Comrade Eugene Ncube, we are discussing the letter by Professor Jonathan Moyo, and the former Minister of Zimbabwe, who we are told is now in Kenya, and with his comrade and colleague, former Minister Patrick Joao. Most of you have read the letter, where the letter is addressed to ZANU-PF supporters and members, apologizing for the hashtag ZANU-PF must go, which they were part of it from 2017 or 2018 when the coup happened in Zimbabwe. It's a two-page letter. Many people have interpreted it differently. And Professor Moyo, in his Twitter account, he says the letter explains itself. So it depends on how you read the letter or how you understand the letter. So Comrade Eugene Ncube asked our thoughts on that. He says, what are your thoughts? The official readmission of Jonathan Moyo into ZANU-PF is not a laughing matter for Triple C. Jonathan will write the ZANU-PF manifesto and will have access to 16 radio stations. Radio is the main form of communication in Zimbabwe. All Triple C leaders must use social media daily or phone. So he's asking us about our thoughts on this matter. Firstly, Jonathan Moyo, like any other Zimbabwean, has a right to belong to any formation of his choice, whether it's a ZANU-PF, whether it's otherwise. That is his choice guaranteed in the Constitution of Zimbabwe. Though, of course, we see abuse of some being prevented to campaign because of their political choices that they've made. He says it is alleged, that is Professor Jonathan Moyo, that he belonged to G40, but it is common cause that ZANU-PF, like any other former liberation movement, has gone through has gone through factions in it. You remember the faction in the build-up to the coup in 2017, which had the likes of Grace Mugabe, Professor Jonathan Moyo, and Patrick Joao, and many others who politically had won the contest inside the ZANU-PF. Tim Lacosta, as it was known by then, led by now President Emerson Mnangagwa, had lost politically, and it had to use the military to intervene and to get them to the top, that is to control ZANU-PF as it were. For me, in terms of my understanding of this letter, is that Professor Jonathan Moyo and Patrick Joao, they are futuristic. They are looking into the future. They understand that Triple C will not come into power in 2023, and there is going to be a contest in 2028. But before the 2028 Congress, ZANU-PF just held its Congress now. After 5 years, they have to go to the Congress. If they do not amend the country's constitution, which provides for 2 terms, and President Mnangagwa is unable to go for his 3rd term, it means there's going to be a contest inside the ZANU-PF on who is going to replace President Mnangagwa as first secretary of ZANU-PF, who then will then go on and contest the 2028 election. So it's going to be interesting. So my analysis is that Professor Jonathan Moyo is looking into that. He and Patrick Joao, they are appealing to the ZANU-PF supporters, hence the apology, to say they are part of ZANU-PF. They might be, though he says in his Twitter account that he will not go back to ZANU-PF, but that's politics. But we think that he wants to be part of those that are beginning to build for the future, to say who is going to take over from President Emerson Mnangagwa. That is, if the country's constitution is not amended to allow President Mnangagwa to run for a third term. So he said in his Twitter account, which he posted after writing the letter and attaching the letter, that he will not go back and support Emerson Mnangagwa. So this is why we're reading it in this context. In terms of the Triple C, we know that when Nelson Chamisa took over as president of MTC Alliance, they benefited from the support base of ZANU-PF supporters linked to G40. If you analyze carefully the 2018 election results, you will see that Nelson Chamisa was winning in constituencies where ZANU-PF MPs had won. Mnangagwa was struggling to win in those constituencies. The party that led MTC Alliance struggled to win in terms of the MPs, but he was winning. This is why many believe that he won the 2018 elections, though of course there was no proof which was provided. And the fact that ZANU-PF at parliamentary level won a 2/3 majority, but Mnangagwa could only manage to win 50.8% or so, tells you that there are constituencies where ZANU-PF supporters would vote for a ZANU-PF councillor, vote for a ZANU-PF MP, but vote for Nelson Chamisa. So one will conclude into that. So if that was the case, and the G40 is now going back to consolidate inside the ZANU-PF, building for the future, it means that the gains that were made by Nelson Chamisa in particular in 2018 might be reversed in areas where ZANU-PF MPs were winning, but is yet to be seen as we go to the 2023 elections. But I think also Professor Jonathan Moyo and Patrick Zhao were frustrated, even though he says in the letter that they never joined MTC Alliance and Triple C. But one would conclude that they were frustrated by the strategies that were then employed by Triple C when it was formed. We all know that he has been one of those that have been vocal about the lack of political structures in Triple C, to an extent that he has to engage on these issues publicly, demonstrating his lack of faith in the leadership of Triple C, of trying or only assigning few individuals to be in control of the party, not building their movement, as was the case with the MTC Alliance. So maybe he did not see any role that they were going to contribute in the Triple C going into the 2023 elections. Hence, they are now going back to ZANU-PF. I'm not sure they are going back, but the fact that they are apologizing to ZANU-PF supporters and members, and that there is no alternative, and the opposition lacks ideological clarity, it is clear that something is happening, and I think that they are preparing for the ZANU-PF next Congress. So Comrade Eugene Ncube then posed also the response by the ZANU-PF spokesperson, Ambassador Mtswanga, welcoming the move that was done by Patrick Zhao and Professor Jonathan Moyo, saying they are a big tent, they welcome everyone. And we know that also Mtswanga, like any other politician, have ambitions. If ED does not get a third term, and in the next ZANU-PF Congress, they are going to elect new leadership, one would not be surprised if Mtswanga also raises his hand for leadership. He's already in the Politburo of ZANU-PF, so he will then see the likes of Professor Jonathan Moyo and Patrick Zhao as key allies in deciding on who becomes the next leader of ZANU-PF, or who is going to be the presidential candidate for ZANU-PF in the 2028 election. So for now, Comrade Eugene Ngumbe and others, we stop here. We think we have responded to your question, but we will continue to talk about this thing because Professor Jonathan Moyo is an interesting person. Whether we like him or not, is an interesting person, so we need to understand what is happening. Otherwise, please write your own comments in terms of how you understand and interpret this. What does it mean for ZANU-PF going forward, and also what does it mean for CCC? Please subscribe to this YouTube channel and circulate to your contacts. Otherwise, have a great day. Goodbye.